evening, everyone. Evolutionary.org podcast coming your way. Episode 394. Guys, this is a compound episode, but we have two special guests in the house. Stevesmi here. The Rickster. What's up, buddy? Introduce our guests.
Hey, what's up, Steve? What's up, guys? How's everybody doing out there? And today we have Mr. Dylan Gemelli and Mr. Nelson Montana. We're going to be doing our regular Q&A, but today we're going to have these guests on, and they're going to give us some of their opinions on some of these topics, guys. So let's get it going. Hey, guys, you guys want to say hi? Dylan, Nelson, you guys want to say hi?
Hey, what's up? How's everybody
doing? What's up, everybody?
All right, so the first question, we're going to basically, this question is for both Nelson and Dylan. Nelson, you're the senior. We'll let you lead off on it. The question is,
man, that trade is never late. That trade arrived just on
time. For beauty, I get it. I know, but in my case, it's kind of both. But it's all right.
That steam engine pulled into the port, pulled in right at the right time. Let's go.
So, guys, the first question, everyone wants to know this: what's the best steroid cycle for a newbie? So, Nelson first, then Dylan, fill us in. What's your opinion on the best?
All right. Well, I might fuck up all the answers here because I'm real simple. I'm old school. I would say you use one compound, and the reason for that is so you know what it's doing. You know, guys say, "Oh, do some Anavar and do some, task base, and throw in a little this and throw in a little that." I say if you're a newbie and you've been working hard and you've been doing everything you can. Training, supplements, diets, to build every ounce of muscle you can, you will get great results from the slightest bit of help. I mean, like I'm talking 10 D-ball a day, and you will get results. So that's my take on it. I say play it safe, just try a little bit. And if you're really serious about training and building muscle, you take that 10 D-ball a day, your progress is going to double. And that should make you happy enough. Did I just fuck everybody's answer up?
All right, Dylan, how about you, buddy?
All right. Well, I guess I'm probably not going to start this off the way we want because I'm not going to disagree, because if you ever followed me and anybody listening, everybody knows and exactly as Nelson, I am a one compound guy your first cycle. But it also depends on your age and when I say experience, in terms of how long have you been lifting, what's your current condition, there's some factors that got to go into that. If you really, really want a real direct, custom tailor fit cycle for you, I can just say, hey, as a newbie, run this. But when I kind of teach it, I need information. So, but I'm a test only guy first cycle, and it's not, you don't need a lot. I always see this. You got to have 500. You got to have 500. You got to have 500. I think that is I just totally disagree with it. I don't know why you need 500. You can easily get results on 300 to 350. You can mitigate side effects, not have a bunch of estrogen conversion and over shutdown that and longer recoveries. It's just not necessary. So I don't buy into that. And you can run an oral first alone. And I'd say run something like a D-ball or an Anavar first if you want to go that route. But when I factor in the age, sometimes I'll say, why don't you start with a SARM or a peptide first too? It just depends. There's a lot of factors in there. But I'll tell you this, and I totally agree with Nelson, a little bit goes a long way. And you don't need to be stacking a bunch of shit the first cycle. You need to learn how your body responds to something foreign. And you need to kind of stick with that, at least in my view. Everybody's different on how they look at it. I just tend to think about longevity more than I want to get huge right now.
Well, let me jump in real quick before Rick follows up. Let me ask both of you guys. Say a 20-year-old is out there listening to this. What advice would you give him? Should he wait? Do you think he should wait? What's the age minimum and why? Nelson, I'll ask you that first.
I would tell somebody to wait, but I would preface that by saying, not because, oh, you're too young, you're too stupid, whatever, none of that shit. It's just that I think that you're capable of a lot of gains at that age, naturally. And why waste it? Why lean on that crutch? Why not build the best body you can get while you have the tools, essentially? And then when you want to kick it into overdrive, the gear is there. So for that reason, I would recommend somebody But look, you know how it's like. A lot of these guys are lazy. They want instant results. And let's face it, the gear gives you those results pretty quickly. But I'll tell you this also: the guys who waited and build a solid foundation are the guys who keep the muscle later in life. The guys who jump on the gear right away are the ones who are always like jumping back on gear to have a body. So that's my take on it.
Dylan?
Yeah, I'm going to kind of feed off that a little bit too, because I mean, I've never made it a secret, even when I was in my later 20s and whatever, that I did not think and did not advise anybody that was especially 20 years old. And I hate to put this is the set number on it, but I didn't want anything to do with ever offering any steroid advice to anybody under 25. I'm not, and I always tell everybody, I'm not your dad. You don't have to listen to one thing I tell you, but if you're going to ask me my thought on it or what I would recommend, it would be to hold off. And it would be for some of the reasons that Nelson said, and I'm a big believer in getting every last bit out of what you can naturally before you go for the enhancements. And also, I don't find it wise to be messing around with your hormones too much in your 20s. It's just
True, yeah.
Yes, and you're just not developed. You can, some people get offended and say, I'm a man, or I'm like, okay, great, call yourself a man, but internally you're not yet a fucking man. You're just not. And there's nothing wrong with it. That's just life. So why mess with that? Why possibly stunt growth? Or a lot of times when people use a lot of steroids at a younger age, they get big too fast because they're already undersized. And what does it do? Puts a lot of pressure on joints, ligaments, tendons. And then you see guys that are always injured. Always. You don't want that. Then you're never in the gym. And I think more long-term, especially as I've gotten a little bit older and had to realize certain mistakes I've made in the past. And if you're thinking long-term, and you don't understand in your 20s, which sucks, and you don't want to listen to anybody, but if you think long-term, you'll realize your best gains are like when you're fully developing into a man, like when you're in your 30s and 40s. That's when you get like the more keepable type of gains and more longevity there, I guess.
But
and
Dylan, you know that if somebody's 20, that's the oldest they've ever been. That's all they know.
Yes.
And they don't want to hear, the future. To them, it's, it's all right now. So I think it's a tough sell to somebody that age. But I agree with you. I just would say, I'm not going to give you any advice. You're on your own, because I don't think you should be doing it.
I'll tell you, and I completely agree. And I'll tell you what, I used to kind of be more prickish in my answers, and I openly admit it, I was. And I was kind of just talk down. And now I just tell everybody, look, I'm not your fucking dad. Here's what it is. You do whatever the hell you want. And that's it. And then they can't really say anything. And I said my piece, laid it out. I can still feel good about it, and then you do whatever you want. I'm with you, and I'm sure you feel the same way as I do. I don't want all that talk back and all that snap back and all that shit when you're trying to help somebody. Do whatever the fuck you want, but here's the advice. So that's it.
I don't think people realize when they get into their 30s, the 20-year-olds, the 25-year-olds, they get in their 30s, they meet a girl, they get married. That girl's going to want a baby. Her biological clock is ticking. She's going to want a baby. If you can't give her a baby because you don't got any sperm, because you shut yourself down, she's going to get pissed, and you're probably going to get a divorce. So it's going to be a very stressful situation. So before you destroy your reproductive system, you probably want to think things through a little more.
Bro, that's me in a nutshell.
Your priorities change too when you get older.
Yes, and you don't think they're gonna, but they do. What you just laid out, that's me, because I decided that, hey, I'm just gonna stay on TRT when I don't even fucking need it. Everything I preach against, I went ahead and did it when I thought I knew everything. And you know what? I never was. Me and Queenie still, now she's 43, I'm 39. We're not having kids now. And I was so focused on career and didn't go address the issue. And it's too late. It is what it is.
Well, you got to do what I did to get a cat. And then
that's what I did. That's what I did. We got a fucking kitten.
I love my cat.
Thing. Me too.
Do you guys take your cats out on walks on a leash by any chance?
I've tried it. I've tried it.
You try to put a leash on your cat, Nelson? How did that turn
Yeah,
out?
she didn't dig it. Not at all. Not at all.
Did it dig at all?
But
No, but
Them snobby New York cats. So
oh, good animals. I love that animal like it's my child. But no, but I know what you guys are saying. Look, everybody here's been 20. All right, some a little sooner than others.
you know, one of the things that I see, I'll throw it in there. I'll throw in a little something, guys. We've kind of addressed this question before in the podcast. I've had different answers at different times, and all the answers are right in a way or another. Now, I just want to add this. A lot of guys are doing steroids just way too early on. Like, you're supposed to really do 5-8 years of natural training, bust through some plateaus naturally. Like, before you even use steroids, you should be one of these guys. You should be at a level where you can see how your physique changes throughout the day, where you can tell a difference in your physique and how your muscles look just adding creatine. You should be at that level already, where you're training, where your diet and your eating and all your training is at the top, where your body is at that pinnacle.
That's
and
so
then
true.
when you throw a little bit of steroid, when you throw a
realize.
little bit of steroids on top, man, that's when you get those 20, 30, 15 permanent pounds on your first cycle that you be able to keep. So when you've pushed your muscles all the way to that level to where you just, you need the juice after 5-8 years. But a lot of guys are just starting on very early. They don't know their body. They don't know themselves. They use shit. They can't even tell what's working or what's not.
But let me ask you guys something. You guys are a little bit younger. I'm coming from a different place. But I think you're all around 40. So when you guys were starting out, the accessibility wasn't there, was it? Was it just like, I'll go online and buy some gear?
I don't know. That shit was always there for me. I mean, once I decided I wanted to get gear, it was in my hands like in less than a couple months. I mean, it's always been.
Right, well, but
I don't know.
Not everybody's like as like up to snuff or resilient like maybe we are. Not that like we're something special, but we just kind of, all of us are more like, if we want something, we're just going to figure it out and get it done. And not everybody operates that way, But
I think that's the difference, because with me, I mean, I had to like find the guy at the gym and, get friendly with them. It wasn't like I could just go online, because prior to around 2000, there really wasn't a lot available. You had to kind of know somebody. And so, the point I was going to make is the kick was really building muscle and finding new ways of training and finding that next supplement. That was the kick, and making those little tiny gains. I think when it's just so accessible right now, and they know they could just go on a cycle and make super fast gains. I think it's a really hard thing. It's a little too tempting. It's hard to resist for these young guys.
And that's absolute fact. And as the time has gone on, especially when like pro hormones and that could draw more interest and get you in a little deeper when you're kind of, because that's how I got started, was looking at a fucking pro hormone, and it took me into the forums. And that's, when it was that accessible and people understood, and those pro hormones were getting out there, and then they're like, oh shit, I want to get deeper into this. That kind of is when it really started to change, and where it was like, okay. And then they started learning how to get it. And then
what year would you say that was for you? When did you find that, okay, now this sort of opened up for me in terms of getting gear?
Like 11 or 12, right around there. I think 2010, 2011, 2012.
Okay, so all right. And that's when you started training?
That's not when I started training, but that's when I was more looking into using things. I mean, shit, I've been training since I was 3-4 years old. I've got videos of training with my dad. I mean,
all right, so you have that background. You have that. Yeah, okay. All right.
Yeah, 100%. That's my whole life. I mean, shit, I was 4 sports in high school, and it was train, never take a break, ever.
And if you could have gotten something 10 years earlier, would you have taken it?
I really don't think so. I really don't. And that was, honestly, Nelson, that was like, my mom had certain fears into me the way I was raised, Italian mom.
Part of it.
Yeah.
And in high school, you could just go to the vitamin shop in my town and pick up Andro right off the shelf. And I did.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
I did go there and I talked to the guy
Yeah,
there.
those were pretty trash. Those were like the dials.
Yeah, it was
from
trash.
like
But I'm
the
just
late
saying.
1999s.
But I
The
mean, he
methylated stuff
suggested
came
that I
out
take
later.
that, and I didn't take it just because it was like $60 for a bottle. And I couldn't afford it. I was making $5.20 an hour, a nickel above minimum wage. I couldn't even afford it. So, I mean, you could have got it back in those days. We're talking late 90s.
I remember that.
Yeah, they were back then. You could even order off the back of magazines. There were guys that would run in ads, and you'd send them money orders or cash, and they would actually send you your shit back.
It was
remember,
risky though. That was risky shit.
Bill Phillips did an article on Muscle Media 2000 where he actually sent some money out to get some Ready Jacks, and they actually fucking came in the mail. And he wrote it, and he said, "Yeah, I mean that's how I got started in steroids, was reading Muscle Media, Dan Duchesne, and really the scandals in 1991 with the Olympics is what really kind of got me interested. Like, holy shit, there's stuff you can put in your body that could make you super. Like, there's things that you can put in your body that could make you stronger, faster, whatever, and that started opening up my eyes, I guess, into what I'm into now. Just the fact that you can use chemistry to change how your body works. So I mean that's kind of what started to draw for me, was kind of experimenting on myself.
It's fascinating because I was a natural. I was proud of being a natural athlete, but it was just so fascinating, the topic that these drugs are going to do. They're going to speed up, accelerate my improvement at what I want. I wanted more muscle, and these things are going to give it to me. And I was just so fascinated by that I had to jump in. But I did it late. I was a late comer to the game, and I'm glad I didn't start too early. But again, I just think it's tempting and very accessible to a lot of young guys today.
I got a funny one for you real quick.
Go ahead.
Well, just kind of talking about what got you into it. You know what got me into it, like interested in learning and studying it, was I was a huge WWF fan. I mean, fucking huge. And when they started to have the things, and I was like 9-10 years old, and they were busting them or coming after Vince McMahon and Hulk Hogan and everybody, that's when I started like wanting to learn about it and understanding it because of that. That's what turned me on to it altogether. So
yeah, the bad press, it sounds like just you and I, the bad press, the supposed to be bad press, is what kind of got us curious about it.
It is.
Well, when Mark McGuire got busted for Andro, nobody wanted that shit, and now everybody wanted it.
Yeah, exactly. You know what kills me? It's like when you actually understand compounds and how this works and what it is, because if you don't know shit and you're just hearing what they're telling you on the news and stuff, and what the players are saying, I didn't know I was taking this, and how bad they're making it out to be, you would just listen to it and go, oh shit, these are really bad, da 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 da. But now that I'm just like, these motherfuckers are the biggest lying pieces of shit, like on the things that they say and portray, and they just convince everybody, on things. It's just incredible. It's just fucking incredible.
That kind of thinking, it's almost like the you guys wouldn't know what Reefer Madness is. It was an old movie like in the 1920s where they made weed out to be this horrible drug, and it's a big joke. I think because the dangers of steroids were exaggerated, that people started thinking like, oh, they're really not that bad, they're fine. And I think a lot of guys actually underplay the dangers now, where you have guys, and you've seen it, you've all seen it, people recommending to newbies, 1,000 mgs a week for 10 weeks. And it's nothing. It's like, Anavar, it's fine, it's mild. I don't think that's the smartest approach either. So it goes back and forth.
I think we've gone full circle.
I agree.
I think our whole a lot of our listeners have gone full circle with this, unless you're young. I think if you're in your 40s, you've gone full circle. Like I've tried, harsh steroids. I tried mild steroids. I've kind of gone full circle with it, and I've seen what Tren did to me, like not just physically but emotionally. I mean, I have 3 herniated discs and a torn rotator cuff because of Tren.
And you banged some hood rats. Remember?
Yeah, and I have several STDs. Thanks to Tren as well. And I lost, I have a divorce. I have to pay alimony and child support and on and on. And my My jail sentence was for no, I'm kidding.
My
Yeah,
sex
that-
change operation was because of trend. It really fucked me up.
Well, you gotta talk to Rick on that one. I don't know much about that.
So,
All right.
so, let's move it up to the next one, guys. So let's do a drugs for endurance. So we have a good group of guys here with different specialities. So, what are good drugs for endurance? Would you guys say?
Who's first? Me?
That's right.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
Well,
The oldest woman,
I'm going
the oldest
old-
woman in the table gets her wine poured first.
Yeah. I'm going old school again. I'll go old school and I'll go new wave here. Old school is Winnie. I find that really improved for endurance. I am not a stimulant guy. I don't respond well to them. I don't like them. So any of that stuff is kind of off the table. It's a no for me. But as far as the new shit goes, and I've done a lot of investigating on this, and actually Dylan helped me out with this. I think the one compound that I find really impressive so far, obviously everything has always got a little potential problem down the line, but SR 9009. I mean, that I am impressed with this, and the fact that they haven't found any side effects doesn't mean there aren't any. There's not a ton of research on it, but I love the fact that it's not a central nervous system stimulant, and the shit works. I mean, it really increases stamina and endurance. So that would be my that would get my vote.
All right.
Anybody else?
Well, I'm
So
glad you
Dylan,
like it, by the way.
Dylan, you talk about a lot. You're running. You run a lot. You run probably like what, 70 miles a week, 60 miles a week.
Yeah, kind of. It's cutting out on me pretty good.
All right. Did you hear the question? Oh, we lost him.
Yeah, he dropped. He should be able to go back in, I think.
Yeah, come on. He's got worse. He's got worse internet than you, Rick. My God, what the hell's going on?
So go ahead, Steve. You tackle. You go.
Yeah. So, guys, we're waiting on Dylan to come back. But yeah, endurance. What I found over the years is there's difference between short-term running and long-term running. I mean, once you hit 3/4 mile, 1 mile mark, I mean, the pumps from steroid just destroy you. I mean, the back pumps. It's interesting. On Anavar, I got lower back pumps for some reason, but on D-Bowl, I got leg pumps, especially like in the front and back of my legs, lower legs.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I think that's funny how one steroid gives you pumps on a certain part of the body. And I've run them multiple times. I've had that happen. So I thought that was interesting. Maybe my running style was different. I'm not really sure, but if you get pumps,
D-ball, maybe with D-ball because it increases blood volume. So when you're using your legs, you're essentially pumping blood into your legs, and the D-ball will definitely exaggerate that. Yeah.
All right, I'm back.
Yeah, so Dylan, we're talking about endurance stacks, and you run quite a bit. You run what, 60 miles a week, 50 miles a week?
Yeah, I do. Well, I do 10 miles a day, 5 days a week now, because otherwise my body's just not going to hold up.
Wow.
So
Yeah,
give us the best endurance stack. A lot of guys out there want to improve their endurance, or their runners or whatever. What's a good endurance stack that you would recommend?
Okay, so this is my favorite part of it. You know that, so I can go on and on. I'll try to keep it brief. Steroid wise, you know what that doesn't get talked about that and I can tell you because I know what increases my endurance and what doesn't. And Primobolan, I'm not saying it's gonna, oh my gosh, blow you away or do something crazy, but every time I've used it, I have noticed better runs. Not drastic, but definitely have noticed a difference. And then Equipoise, the other one that I've noticed some differences in. I think it gets way, way, way too much love and hype for what it can and cannot do in the endurance aspect, but it does work 100%. But GW 501516 is untouchable when it comes to endurance. There's no competition. It is clear cut number one, and then SR 9009 would be number two for me. And then another one that does not get talked about is RAD 140. Actually is quite good in the endurance department, nowhere near the other two that I just mentioned. But if I was going to give you an endurance stack, those three and S4, those are the best four. But GW and SR, it's not even close. It's a million miles. And I can tell you that with 100% certainty because I've coached it for 8-9 years now, and I've tested it on myself over and over. I mean, I ran like Forrest fucking Gump. I know the difference where I could have just ran all day some days. So for me, that's clear cut. I've also noticed
like running.
that's what it felt like, man.
Man, I wish I had GW back in the day when I was doing triathlons and stuff.
Oh shit.
You know? Can you imagine? Back then, I mean, I don't know how many people were taking it. What do you think? Do you think people were taking it like 10 years ago, 15 years ago?
I don't
know. Now
man.
Everyone takes it, you know?
Yeah, I do know that cyclists were popped for it, and there's been Olympians that have been popped for it, you know, in like 2008, 9, 10, I think it was. So it's been
everyone
there.
was using it in 2008 Olympics. They didn't even ban it till the next year. So
yeah.
Oh, those guys are up on that science right right around the corner. Yeah, GW. It was used for so many years before they really started to get good tests available for it. It's incredible.
Rick, do you remember when GW first like came to market and came out? Man, I want to say it was like 2013 or 14.
Yeah. The first four that came out were S4, Austrian, GW, and LGD. And those were the first four that came out. And I believe S4 started coming out like around 2011, 12, 13. So when I first saw S4, and then those first four were there for a while, and then everything else dropped right behind it. But I mean, it was groundbreaking, man. They changed the game completely for everybody. It's incredible.
I remember because first came GW, then came the LGD after it, and you had your big four with, you know, and that was always the SARM super stack was Austrian, S4, GW, LGD. 677 was there, but nobody had it. I remember there was like one place that sold it. Nobody had it. Nobody knew anything about it. And the funny thing is it had the most studies done on it for the longest amount of time, yet nobody, that's what's crazy about it. But I remember.
What do you think about EPO and blood doping? Have you ever tried that?
Oh shit. No, I wouldn't. If you paid me to do that, I would not do it. No, I would never. No, absolutely not. GW is about the extent of what I'm willing to do to boost my endurance.
But wouldn't you say that EQ is kind of along the same lines? I mean, that really increases blood volume and thickens the blood and creates, you know, gives you stamina in that regard. But and that's the danger of it. That's something I would not recommend for older athletes. But have you tried that in terms of testing it for endurance capabilities?
Yeah, no, I definitely have. I've seen endurance benefits with it, absolutely, but nowhere near, because with GW it's increasing your VO2 max, and it's just allowing for so much. And if you're keeping at it and really trying to push yourself, it's part of the problem with people is they don't realize how much more they're going to be able to do, and they don't push themselves hard enough. I still remember to this day, the first time I ran it, I was like a 5 mile a day runner, 5 to 6 at that time. And I'd never ran 10 miles in my life, never. And I kept going, and I just kept going, man, I'm not getting tired. And I ran that 10 and I stopped because I kind of got freaked out. And then my runs through that time, then they finally increased, because I was stuck on 5, 6 miles for I don't know, man, 6, 7 years. That was where I was at. And after I ran that one time, it got me up, and I continued to move up, and now I'm at 10. And so for me, that was what did it.
How do you handle stimulants? Are you okay with them?
Yeah, I handle them just fine, really.
What you're talking about, I think, would just freak me the fuck out. be able to just keep on running like that.
Let me ask you guys a question. Everybody on the call here, that we've all messed with Cardarine and S9. Have you guys noticed that if you do anything or engage in any kind of activity that makes your adrenaline kick up a little bit, don't you feel like the presence of adrenaline makes the GW, the effects of it, a little bit stronger? Because I've taken it towards the afternoon, late nighttime, and I'm supposed to be going to bed. But if I do anything that gets me, like even watching a UFC fight, that just gets a little bit of adrenaline going, all of a sudden I'm fucking wide awake again. More so with the GW than I would be without it. I think my body, or at least my brain, reacts differently to
my
adrenaline.
answer is emphatically no. I've not noticed that, but I don't consume stimulant. Maybe it's a stimulants, Rick. I don't know.
Yeah, could be because I do consume
I don't know
coffee
if
and
Dylan
stimulants.
had a different experience, but absolutely not. No, I don't have anything like that.
I can tell you this: in all of my experience, not once have I personally had any sort of issue with it like that at all. However, there are some people, not many, but I would be, failing to tell you that I've heard it from some people that it's affected their sleep negatively, but that is few and far between. I have heard it. But I would say
I think it's
any.
anxiety. If you have adrenaline, I think it's doing something. I think to a level it could maybe amplify the way your brain reacts to adrenaline. I don't know. Maybe I could be wrong completely.
Well, not to get on a touchy subject.
I notice if I'm on GW and I get amped up about anything, I'm going to dojo or whatever, jitsu, it feels different. It lasts longer. Maybe it keeps me up like almost if I drank coffee. It's weird in my case, at least when it comes.
I'll bring in Nelson, but I just want to say this about EQ. I didn't have a chance. The nice thing about EQ is it raises your blood cell count, like you guys were saying, which is going to help your endurance. But the nice thing is it doesn't give you those pumps, those crippling pumps. So like Dylan was saying, you just keep running and running and running. You don't have to worry about the pumps, the back pumps and the leg pumps. And then number two, you don't have to worry about water retention. So you're not carrying a jug of water like you would if you took testosterone. So those are the two beauty parts of EQ. It's why it's so good for endurance.
For endurance, absolutely. See, now I'm one of those guys. I like the deep vault pumps. I think that's.
I like them too, but not if you're running. Like,
not if you're running. Well, I'm not a big runner. I've never been a big cardio guy.
We don't have like places to run in New York, though. You have a bunch of.
No, I can run in Central Park. I
know, especially that's what
I can run along the bike path and all that. I don't dig it. I just don't really. When I want a cardio workout, I just train fast. I train high reps, little rest between sets, and that's my thing. Now I will test my endurance on a treadmill, and that's how I tested the SR9009. Because first of all, psychologically, because I don't like running, I get bored, and that will fatigue you. Just like Rick's talking about having adrenaline being pumped up, it could go the other way as well.
Yeah, so I got to hit the back. I got to go to dojo. I'm not a runner either. I get bored with it.
Okay, but for me,
if you're running like out in the woods and a trail, and I think you can make it more fun music. But yeah, it's boring if you're just on a treadmill. I can't stand it.
Yeah, I'll do there's a reservoir in Central Park. It's a mile. I'll do that. But
you need some hot chicks to go run with.
Well, yeah, that helps. Then I stop. But no, like when I tried the SR9009, it's like, oh fuck, I just can keep going here. I know I never did the cardenine, and this might be another topic in itself. I know that the studies where it showed it was cancer causing or exaggerated. I'll tell a real quick story here. Years ago, I don't know if you guys remember Sweet and Low with saccharin.
Yeah.
It was taken off the market because it caused cancer in mice. And they sued because they found out it took it's like eating 10 boxes a day of saccharin. And that would be the case with any artificial sweetener. But my thing is, okay, maybe it would take a ridiculous amount of cardenine to actually cause cancer. But if it's causing it, there is some carcinogen there. And just like some people won't eat artificial sweetening, I want to stay away from anything that is potentially even the mildest bit toxic. Because I am really coming from the old school health thing. And that's one of the reasons I really like the SR9009 because, they haven't found any serious side effects so far. So I don't know about the cardio, but I don't want round the clock fat burning. I don't really need that. And one other thing is the SR9009 did affect my sleep the first time I took it because I took it too late, and it does work with your circadian rhythm. So I would suggest if you're going to do the SR9009 to do it your last dose like 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't like it right before bed either. I never have. I know some people tend to do it, but I'm not a fan of that either.
All right. So you guys want to move on to the next one?
All right. Next one is let's see here, guys. So, what drugs would you never ever run? What are drugs that you just that are guys out there using and you yourself just wouldn't use?
Well, if going with me, I'm really conservative with this. I don't even like taking any vet drugs. And I know people say like, well, Equipoise was a human drug and this, that, and the other thing. But, something like Tren is, I think everybody here will admit, it's not a healthy, it's not a healthy drug. It's not going to make you healthier. People take Tren because the results are just so magnificent. And that's real tempting, but I kind of made a promise to myself I wasn't going to do that. That if I was going to use steroids, it would be to sort of enhance. It's almost like cheating in an ethical way, if this makes sense. I almost look at steroids as something to like bump your natural training. Every now and then you get this little punt and it takes you to the next level and it gives you a little bit more muscle. And then you train naturally to hold on to that muscle. Then you do another little pump. That's always been my philosophy. And I think you could do drugs like, and I think Dylan agrees with me here, we both are primo lovers.
Yep.
Where you're just building solid muscle, without taxing the body, the liver and everything else, your LDL levels, your lipid levels. And that's been my approach, to just use them in a healthy way, which I know these days they're not synonymous. But I do think that steroids can be used in a healthy way. So that's why I avoid most vet drugs and anything like Tren or any harsh stimulants. They're off the table for me.
All right.
What's your?
What do you think, Dylan? What do you do, Dylan?
Fuck. The problem is some of the shit that I won't touch now. I've already tried. So I'll tell you this: I won't ever touch halotestin again at all. Superdrol, never again, and Tren I will not do again. So 3 that I've tried that you won't catch me doing again with various reasons, those 3. One that I haven't tried that I won't do is Trestolone, and for several reasons, but obviously the main one for me is I'm very, very highly estrogen prone, and that's like one of the worst things that you could do. So, and then something like a check drop, DNP, I won't go near that. I won't even advise anybody on it. I turn down paying clients. I won't touch clenbuterol. I won't touch T3.
Have you messed with check drops?
No, I have not.
And then clenbuterol, you messed with, right?
No, I won't.
Oh, you haven't touched that one? And then the first couple with Tren, tell us your thoughts on Tren. You won't touch it again, but why not? What happened when you took it that you didn't like?
So I've ran Tren 4 or 5 times now, and the emotional side effects for me, I don't like that at all, because I'm generally in pretty damn good control, and to have something put you out of touch that much, like it did to me with like reality, like of being depressed, and I'm like, depressed, what the fuck? That is not anything in my vocabulary. And to have those kind of feelings like that, and then for whatever reason, I never had any kind of sexual side effect at all with it. And then the last time I ran it, I did. And I said, you know what, that's it. Because to me, that's the worst side effect you could have as a man, at least in my view. I said, no,
I'm with you there. I'm with you there.
Yeah.
So touch a little bit on the depression and tell us about Halo. What did you like about Halo where you wouldn't run it again?
So Halo and me and Queenie is my wife. Anybody's listening that doesn't know, we're very, very close, right? And for her to tell me, please, whatever that was you just used, don't ever use it again. That's said enough. I mean, because we don't. we don't argue, we don't fight, and I'm not aggressive, and nothing like that happened. But I was just, I know I was just a prick, like completely different from any normal behavior. So quick to be set off and to take things the wrong way. And like, I am not like Mr. Sensitive at all. And I was sensitive, and it was like, what the fuck is going on here? You know? So no thanks. I don't see any reason whatsoever to use Halo at all. I guess if you're doing a contest, fine, but I would just say use Winstrol or Masteron. I just don't see the reason at all. But you know, what do I know? I don't know.
Good for fighters. Good for fighters for the aggression.
That's what I always said. That was the only thing I ever recommended it for, was MMA guys that don't want to gain weight and just want to go crazy.
Yep. Yeah, it's a nasty drug, though. It's really a nasty drug.
It is 100%. Totally agree.
Rick, follow up. Any questions?
Shit, I fucking try anything, but
Do of everything, please.
but I stay away. Obviously, DMP, insulin. No place for insulin. No place
That's
for
a good
DMP.
one.
Yeah, I forgot
stay
that.
From Clen. You know, stay away. Fuck, and those are pretty much the three that I'm like, fuck Clen. I'm afraid of it, large in my heart, and plus I can diet. You know, I can just not fucking eat. I don't need a bunch of stimulants. Definitely DMP, man. Just too many things that could go wrong with it. Too many variables. And again, I've said it on the podcast. I don't have problem. Just don't fucking eat. Just fast or just cut your fucking diet down. Don't need to go crazy with all these stimulants and run all this stuff through your body just to lose some body fat. Just do it, man. Just diet down. And the insulin, I mean, it's just, I think if you're a monster, if you are a professional guy, you're a monster, you're taking growth hormone and you're that big, I think you need to throw a little bit of insulin on top. You might, but then I think over time it ruins your physique. You know, even these top level guys, they turn into monsters big at first, but then it starts to ruin their physique with the midsection blowing out of proportion and maybe some of the lines blurring a little bit. It's just, I just don't really see a good use for it, guys like us. And unfortunately, bang for the buck is one of the more anabolic drugs you can buy, bang for the buck. But it's just, I don't think it builds a good quality physique. There's a lot of bullshit that goes along with using it. And it's just not something I'd want to mess with, man.
Well,
I agree.
It's anabolic it's because it stores. I mean, as soon as it hits your body goes in storage mode, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's a good thing to be anabolic. You know? I mean, look at the average American. My gosh. I mean, come to the South or Midwest and look at fucking.
Yeah, they got a lot of insulin going on.
Well, you will not find a guy over 40 who doesn't have a fucking gut anymore.
And in the South, there's that guy from the Forum's Body Monster. I think he probably uses a lot of insulin. He's from Texas or something.
Your boy Mighty Monster. But I mean, my gosh, I mean, like, what is wrong?
Hey, Steve, you should fucking go to the Iowa State Fair sometime with me, and then you can really fucking see some shit. Just some real shit.
Oh my god. The who's bigger, the pigs there or the fucking people?
Dude, it's fucking close, brother. It's close. It's a close competition. No shit.
Good quality American cuisine.
Hey, listen, anything you've ever wanted on a stick, I am not shitting you. You can Google it. The Iowa State Fair is like top 5 in the nation. And it's like anything you want on a stick, you can buy it. I am not lying.
When was the last time they cleaned those fucking kitchens in those places?
Man, who knows? But these motherfuckers are walking around with these big ass turkey legs, walking around, slopping, eating them and shit. Like, it's fucking crazy, man. It's just crazy. You'd never believe I was from Iowa.
Oh.
And by the way, Steve, the pots are not dirty. The oil is not dirty. They're seasoned.
It's like
that's what you call it. I'm cooking a seasoned pot.
I'm sure the what's it called? Whatever they come, they regulate. They come and they check on it, make sure they keep the place clean.
Oh yeah,
making the food over there.
Son of a bitch.
Oh my god! All right, guys. So Ready for next one?
Last
Yeah.
one to wrap it up. Each of us,
Yeah.
let's just kind of share 2 or maybe 3 kind of quick tips, lifestyle secrets, stuff that maybe you have figured out, but that you maybe notice you don't hear people talking about out there. Just a couple of quick tips.
Well, the best lifestyle is swinging. You guys know what that? It's the best. It's the best stress reliever. No. I'll let Nelson tell us first.
Oh man, that's a loaded question. That's a big one. Okay, I gotta go back old school again, right? I'll say as far as training goes, one tip I would give that you don't see too often that I think is really invaluable is, and it's gonna sound a little crazy, is when you train a body part, let's say whatever, it's chest and tris, you do 1 chest exercise and 1 tricep exercise. Do however many sets it is. Maybe, 10 sets of bench presses, whatever it might be. That way you find out what exercises are most effective for you. See, guys go in there, they're doing inclines, declines, this and that. They really don't know which ones are working. Steve Reeves said he only did seated dumbbell curls because that's what worked best. So why do a less efficient exercise? Just find out what works best for you. And then there's a multitude of ways of breaking up a routine. You're training heavy, you're training light, low rest between, short rest between sets, training quickly. There's a million ways to break it up, but find the exercises that are effective for you. And this is a part of the process. This is a part of the process that should be fun. But I know, again, a lot of guys are just looking for that shortcut. Give me some tren and I'll do some concentration curls and look good at the beach. But that would be one training tip.
I like that.
Dylan, you're up.
Yeah. No, I think that's good. It's smart because then you learn, like you said, and test it out. One of the things that I refused to do for so long, and Rick even had said something to me in the past about it, was not ever wanting to take a rest day. And the value and importance of resting at least a couple days throughout the week. I can't stress it enough how many people I've seen overtrain and, training when they're not well or sick or trying to sweat it out and things like that. All these things like that I used to do. I would tell you, you have got to take your rest day. You've got to take care of yourself. You've got to rest when you need it. Now, I don't like all this cheat meal this and do this and do that and break away from things. I don't like that, but you've got to let your body rest. You have to. You got to get a couple days a week. You've got to take the right time in between muscle groups, let your muscles grow. And a lot of people don't take care of that and they never get the results that they should get, or they feel like they're not getting where, or you hear that infamous hit their plateau after only 2 years of training. There's a lot of factors in there. It's not just switching your routine and your diet and everything else. Those are all important, but there's other things that could compound and make it worse. And a lot of that is not understanding your body. So you got to pay attention and learn it and not just go in there and think you know everything, So that's what I would tell people. Always be open to learning.
Dylan, how long are your training sessions when you work out?
So my run is like an hour and a half. But I'm not going to factor that in. I try to get in and get out, man. I'm like 45 minutes lifting because I'm efficient. I don't talk and I just get in and get out with the lifting.
Because I completely agree with what you're saying, but I'm the kind of person that I am better off going in maybe 5-6 days a week, only because of the habit of it. Because I know if I take a few days off, it's hard for me to get back into it. But I don't train, but I'll do a 20-minute workout. Just so I'm going to the gym, I'm working whatever 2 body parts, and I'm out of there. And the rest, as far as my cardio, that's walking or riding a bike. So I don't even include that. But for me, it's better to do 6 days a week at 20 minutes than to really hit it super hard and then take more days off.
But Nelson, how far away are you from your gym? You probably just have to walk there, right?
Yeah, a few blocks away.
Yeah, that's the problem because we live out in the Midwest or the South, whatever. Sometimes you have to drive 30, 45 minutes.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
I don't want to go 6 days a week. And drive every day, 45 minutes there, 45 minutes back in the traffic. That's the thing. I think that's a big advantage, like actually being able to walk to your gym. You probably have a gym. I'm going to say the fucking what I was gonna say. But you have a fucking gym in your apartment complex, right?
I do not, but I always keep some dumbbells in the house. I would do something like that. I'm not sure. Yeah, I've always been kind of. Well, you know what? When I first started, I was a kid. I started really, really young. I had to take 2 buses to get to a gym. The gyms weren't on every corner back in the
back in the 30s.
Yeah, back when the dinosaurs roamed the earth. You know what? I mean, Dylan's point is well taken. People do overtrain. The key is not to overtrain. I'm just talking about a different approach. For me, I'd rather do a little bit more often than a lot with the big rest periods. That's all. It's just a methodology.
Well, so give us one more.
Multiple ways.
Yep. Give us one more tip, Nelson, and then Dylan, give us another tip.
Another tip concerning. All right. Well,
anything.
I'll go very, very basic when it comes to diet. I've always believed, everybody says how important diet is. I think it's real simple. Emphasize protein, and if you want to gain, you got to eat more, and if you want to, cut, you got to eat less. It's real simple. I mean, my dad was a professional boxer, and back in those days, it was when they had to make weight, it was like the steak and salad diet. And when you get right down to it, it kind of made sense. It was sort of almost a keto thing. Lay off the starches because it's real easy to eat a lot of carbs and retain weight that way. But every time somebody says, what do I do to gain weight? What do I take? All this shit. It's like, just get the fucking fork out of your face, man. That's what it comes down to.
The amount of food that we eat.
Yeah.
The amount of food we eat in America is just insane. Like, if you go to any other country and visit, they don't eat the way we eat. The portions, you go to a restaurant even, the portions are completely different.
Oh, yeah. And people just don't want to waste it. It's like, you bought it anyway. I'll throw half the fucking meal out sometimes. It's too much food.
You guys would agree that the weight loss drugs are actually more dangerous than the steroids, the anabolic drugs, right?
Oh, yeah.
How many weight loss drugs have been pulled off the market after being approved?
And they all backfire. Every one of them backfire because your body always wants to maintain homeostasis. So if you're giving it stimulants, it's going to try and balance that out by slowing its own metabolism down. And then you go off the drug and you got a sluggish metabolism. So you not only gain the weight back, you gain more fat. So
far back as the 30s, 50s, and 60s, people were using DMP and even meth and supplements as weight loss. Something that people have been concerned with this whole time, and we've used all types of really dangerous drugs. I wanted to second what Nelson said about diet. Journal your diet and just watch what the fuck you're putting in your mouth. I run across a lot of guys that ask for help, and they all say, "Oh, I can't lose weight, and I eat very little. I eat like a bird. I eat a tiny bit. I just can't lose this weight." That's fucking bullshit, man. You're probably not journaling what you're actually putting in your mouth. You're probably making a few stops in the refrigerator. Each stop is, a couple hundred calories that you're not accounting for, and that's what's keeping you there. There's all these albuterol, clenbuterol, and T3. I mean, there's all these drugs out there that are quite dangerous. The fat loss drugs can actually have some of the worst effects on your body, worse than the steroids or the SARMs could, and very immediate, short-term side effects. Some of these fat loss drugs that have made it to market have been pulled off by the FDA. So it's just controlling your fucking appetite, man, and controlling the diet and the eating. A lot of people out there taking so many more drugs than they really need to be taking just because they can't fucking keep the fork out of their mouth. It's incredible. It's DMP. We've discussed DMP. You're going through all this discomfort, putting your life in danger, really, and going through this discomfort. So that you can lose fat, but you're still going to eat. Like, you're taking the DMP, and then on the days you take the DMP, you're still ingesting calories. How about don't take the DMP and don't have the food either, and then you're better off that way. Just fucking fast it out. Just too many fat loss drugs and not enough guys out there trying to just really get their eating under control. Breaking it's an addiction to this ready energy. You shouldn't be lightheaded and in pain with hunger if you've got fat. That fat is already in your body, is already stored, is ready for use. Why would your brain be driving you insane, asking you to stuff your face with more calories? It's an addiction to that ready energy. You're not supposed to be crippled by hunger, the way a lot of people are that are addicted to to this very short term kind of fast energy. So that's one thing to us in there. Nelson is a good point about the dieting.
Yeah, it works every time. If you expend more calories than you ingest, you're going to lose weight. You're going to burn fat. Simple as that.
So many guys claim that they eat very little but can't lose weight. It's women too, specially too. I tell them all. I said, look, man, if this was legit, the man in black could come and get you. They'll dissect you. We're gonna make super soldiers that don't need any food. We're gonna make super soldiers that can just go on day after day on 500, 600 calories, just like your fat ass. Yeah, like your fat ass. You're sitting here, 24% body, talking about you eat very little. Get the fuck out of here.
Yep. Agreed.
Dude, that shit pisses me off to the highest extent. The highest extent. Fuck. It sums it up because I see it daily that people write that shit. And it's just like, come on, man. Seriously, like, don't feed us that nonsense. It's just nonsense. Just fucking admit what you do so we can help you figure it out. I don't know. This fantasy land shit. It just makes you look bad when you lie about it because it's obvious. There's no way you're eating very little and 25% body fat. I'm sorry. It's just not happening.
We know it's interesting. I mean, everybody here is obviously an expert and authority on this. And we're all well aware of the fact that, some of these drugs do remarkable things. I think the problem is some of the people listening in, some of the audience or people on message boards and whatnot, they think that, oh, well, there's just a drug for everything. And when you tell them, no, dude, you got to just eat less, it doesn't comprehend. I mean, if you come across that where they don't want to accept the fact that that's what they have to do. They think there's some magic bullet out there that's going to be the answer.
Oh, yeah.
Same thing. They're all, what steroid should I use to gain mass? How about you take every set to failure? How about you do that? How about you keep pushing even when your muscles really, really hurting and really, really sore, and you do that day after day? Then you think about the drugs later. But a lot of guys aren't even training to full capacity and really thinking about what they're going to stack and what they're going to do is incredible.
I know, man. I know.
Yep. All right, guys. Yeah. So, any other tips you guys have, Dylan and Nelson? Any other tips? Any tips aside from diet? Any tips?
Share one. You share one, Steve. You haven't shared a tip yet. You share one.
You want to share a tip? Look, guys, it's not so much about our bodies are a lot more complex. This is the thing. Like, here's the thing: if you're 25% body fat, and you've never been a skinny person, like you've always been overweight your whole life, it's not going to be as easy to get down. So my counterpoint is to all people listening, if you have a friend or a relative or something, they're struggling to lose weight, instead of like saying, telling them, eat less, eat less, eat less, that may not be the best solution for them to tell them to eat less, because what's happening is their homeostasis might be 25% body fat. So if you tell them to eat less, they may lose some, weight initially, but over time, they'll just gain it all back because they're just going to crash their metabolism. So instead of telling them eat less, tell them to eat the right foods instead. Yeah. So if you eat a hamburger from McDonald's, it's different than eating a hamburger that you cook yourself. You cook yourself the hamburger, you use coconut oil, you put some salt, some pepper on it, and you use a natural bun that has almond flour and eggs as ingredients versus white bread, or versus, smothering the burger in canola oil. It's going to be different. It's going to go in your body. It's going to cause a different thing. And it's very important to understand, it's not just about like how much you eat, it's what you eat. That's very important. So, I mean, if you eat 3,000 calories a day and it's all like cookies and cake, it's not going to be the same. And then the second tip is gut. How important is our gut health? What goes into the type of foods? If you're eating food and you don't feel good after, or your bowel movements aren't normal, you're having diarrhea or you have constipation, like most people, every other commercial on TV is for Pepto-Bismol or some antacid medication or, a stool softener or something like that. You walk into any pharmacy, they have a whole display for this stuff. It's like, it's not normal to have these types of gut deficiencies. So you have to look at what you're eating, how much you're eating, all this stuff. It all makes a difference. It's not just about I'm going to eat less. You have to know what you're putting in your body. It's very, very important. So gut health is extremely important. And 85% of people out there in the United States have poor gut health. And that's, it's going to lead to all kinds of diseases and problems going on. It's just not normal. Like, it's not normal to take a dump and stink up the whole bathroom, stink up your whole house. It's just not normal. And people accept that it's normal. And I don't go to public bathrooms, especially since COVID. I don't go to public bathrooms.
That's
But
gross anyway.
when I used to go to public bathrooms, it just amazed me how there'd be a guy sitting on the fucking toilet for 35 minutes straight, taking a dump. And I'm like, that's not normal. You shouldn't need 35 minutes to have a bowel movement. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Steve, I agree with Steve, but the devil's advocate of that is, and you probably all come across this as well, you have the people who overeat and it's like, oh, but I'm eating whole grain bread, or they think they're eating a lot of food, but
the first ingredient is refined flour.
That's going to be the case, but I mean,
I've met overweight vegetarians and vegans that are
that's
overweight.
true. There you go. Yeah. You can't, let's put it this way. I don't think you could good food your way to being thin or being fit or being lean. I think that it still at some point comes down to if you have the metabolism that you were talking about, Steve, where you're just naturally heavy and you've always been heavy. I think the answer there is you got to move more. You got to burn more calories. If you need to do a certain
your
amount,
metabolism will crash if you're sedentary, if you're not working out. But if you're weight training, even with a lower caloric intake, it's kind of hard for your body to do that and lower its caloric expenditure. But yeah, it's weight training and diet along with the diet, man. It sounds like we're back to basics, but a lot of people, some guys are just skipping some of these basics and going right to the drugs questions and the stacks questions, and they're not even, their diet is not even on point yet.
But here's the problem. You're bombarded with billions of dollars of advertising. You turn on the TV and there's nothing on TV being advertised that's healthy. If they would advertise healthy stuff on TV, it would be different, but they don't. They advertise junk food, restaurant food. So, and they advertise it. They're so obnoxious. They advertise this shit as being healthy. So to blame people for being overweight, I think that's not fair, because they spend how much on Subway telling people that eating subs from Subway, which is all processed food, can make you thin. And the funny thing is, Jared was never even thin. He went from being obese to just fat, but they still advertised it as, and now people, if you ask people, they'll think that Subway, you can actually lose weight eating Subway. Which is
that's part of being a bodybuilder, don't you think? I mean, look, if it were easy, everybody would look as good as we do. It's we have this is a part of the bodybuilding lifestyle. You have to know what good food is. You have to know, how much to eat and what not to eat. And like Steve is saying, the foods that are going to avoid. I think certain conditions, because I have acid reflux, it's something I developed later in life that sucks. But yeah, things like constipation and all that. But I think that's just a part of the bodybuilding lifestyle. I think that, but
bodybuilders have horrible gut health, Nelson. I'm not saying they don't.
Well, when I say bodybuilding, I mean bodybuilding in the traditional sense, not in the competitive.
Yeah, these competitive bodybuilders, they eat so much food. Their guts are under constant attack.
Yeah,
and they don't have a chance.
Not kind of bodybuilding, not professional bodybuilding. Yeah. Professional body has nothing to do with health. I'm talking about the bodybuilding lifestyle, where if you want to just feel as strong as you could be and be as healthy as you could be and live as long as you can and look as young as you can for as long, all that shit, and be muscular. And see, I grew up with the whole thing. Like I wanted to look like a god, and I wanted to look like a Greek statue. I didn't want to look like, fucking Ronnie Coleman. I think it looks ridiculous. So that's what I'm talking about, the bodybuilding lifestyle. And diet is a part of that. I don't think you need to be fanatical. But I do think you need to emphasize good, pure, clean food at the right balance, not too much, and keep it simple.
Those Greek statues got really, really tiny penises. I never wanted to look like one.
Yeah.
Why are you even looking at that?
Why are you looking at that, dude?
I never
look at the whole statue, man. Look at the whole statue. You didn't even notice the penis?
Buddy, we gotta have a talk after this podcast, bro.
Yeah, I think
so. Well, guys, talking about this podcast, I think it was a great podcast today, man. Thank you guys for coming out. Thank you, Nelson Montana. Thank you, Dylan, for coming out and helping us out today with the Q&A. Had a great time today, guys. It was awesome.
Thank you. Had fun.
Yeah, awesome, man. Enjoyed it.
All right, guys. So this is episode 394. If you want to talk to Dylan, you want to talk to Nelson, you want to talk to me, you want to talk to Rick, come on the forums, evolutionary.org. Shoot us a question, post up a thread, put up a log. We'd love to hear from you guys.
Have a good one, Steve. Have a good one, guys.
Later.
All right. See you guys.
All right. I'm hanging up the call, guys. Have a good one. Have a good night.
All right, guys.
All right.
Take
See
care.
you, man.
All right.
Later.
Guys, this is the required legal disclaimer. We are only sharing our experience from years of steroid use. We are not doctors, and none of what we say should be regarded as medical advice. Always check with your doctor before taking any drugs or starting any training program.